Well, we're about to jump into the Project Country Club vlog for today and figure out what mods we've actually gotten done, so stick around. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the garage. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Thanks to everybody that joined the live stream this week. We are back at it. Been working on Project Country Club all morning. I would have shot earlier, but the neighbors were running leaf blowers for like 2 hours. If it were raining, it couldn't be any wetter out here, and yet they're still running leaf blowers. So, what have we got done? Well, we've got this giant spaghetti mess, but if you notice, we are back to the E22 ECM. We're still using the E36s. I haven't potted the other ones yet. I'll do that after we get this thing running. I have also come in, replaced the fuel injectors with the factory one since we went back to the E22, got everything set back up. I have not redone the cam sensors. I have a sneaking suspicion that these will work just fine. If not, I'll address them after the fact, but I haven't put the wide bands back in yet. That is something that I'm going to have to do because we're still going to eventually put the supercharger on here. And I've got an idea of how we can get by with the tuning. Now, if you did not tune into the live show Thursday night, and I haven't posted the video about ECMs yet, I haven't talked about the fact that this engine, for whatever reason, is a 24X crank instead of a 58. Once again, didn't do enough research on this. There's not a lot of information out on there. Really weird though, I'm guessing this is the only 24X setup that has variable valve timing, because that means that the cranks or the camshafts are 1X, which is really weird, even though these are a little bit different than everything else that's out there. Imagine that. That's kind of been the case from the get-go. Nonetheless, and before anybody says it, the Lingenfelter box does not go from 24 to 58. It goes to 58 to 24. I realize that somebody makes a box out there that goes from 58 to 24. Reason you can't go from 28 to 54 is because you would have to, you can't go from low resolution to high resolution. If you were to do that, the box would technically be making up crank signals. That just does not work. So, that being said, we've gone back in. For the most part, everything's back to stock. I'm getting ready to hook everything back up as far as the power and fire this up. On top of it, I've been refurbishing the wheels. Just got done, I mean, nothing pretty by any means. I mean, that crap, I basically just got the chrome that was peeling to the point where it wouldn't peel anymore, because these things are trash. They're junk. They're not worth saving whatsoever. I just don't want them to look quite as ugly as they do, so that will get by for now. I've got one of them back here kind of mounted up behind this green screen, and I've posted pictures of this stuff up on Instagram, so that'll give you an idea of what it looks like. Of course, I'll do pictures and videos whenever I get all this stuff done. So that all being said, we're to the point now where the car should run. So what do you think? Should we hook the battery charger up, see if we can fire this thing up? Okay, sounds good to me. Okay, we've got the battery charger hooked up. Everything's plugged back in here. We're going to prime it a couple times since we just did the injectors, and check for leaks here. Okay, primed. Let's try it again. Pump's running. Poke our heads in here real quick. Not seeing any injectors leak. Okay. Air conditioner kicked on. Oh, it's saying to service the fuel system. That's not a good sign. Okay, let's try this out. Not what you want to happen. I have a sneaking suspicion I know what's happening though. Yeah, let me double check connection. I tried to hook the TCM back up. There's a good chance that I didn't get the wire seated properly, so we may not have CAN communication going to the ECM, which is required to start. Yeah, okay, I'll be right back. 50 DTCs on this setup. But the good news is yesterday had some issues. Turned out like I tried to shoot this yesterday. I was painting the wheels, finishing up on the harness, got the harness done. Couldn't get communications to the ECM. I thought it was the harness. Turns out it was the TCM. The connectors on the TCM are the biggest pain in the butt, man. I'll be so glad to get rid of that TCM and go over to that standalone system. That'll make everybody's life a lot easier. But for now, we got to get the car legal. I've got to get it down, get it registered, get it through inspections. And in order to do that, I've got to be able to drive it, obviously. So I'm working on just getting it running, basically in stock tune. I swapped the injectors back out yesterday to the stock injectors, kind of got all that sorted out. I've got to do the O2 sensors because the narrow bands are in there instead of the factory wide band, so I'll have to redo the harness on that ordeal. Pain in the butt. But that also gives us the opportunity to run it on the wide bands, and I've got an idea of how we can throw the supercharger on here, run it fairly safe, and maybe make out to about 500 horsepower with it without being able to tune this ECM. We'll talk about that in a future episode, but my brain's been working. We won't have timing control, but we can let the factory timing and knock sensors basically try and protect the motor. Worst case scenario, we blow this motor. It's, you know, it's almost worth as much in scrap weight as it is in the value of the motor. You can buy these motors for $400 or $500. You know, unfortunately the motors for the later generations, the ones with the E58 reluctors, that was the issue if you didn't tune into the live show. The issue is that the E67 is an E58 reluctor. This motor is an E20 or is an X24 reluctor, kind of like the third gen stuff, and this has got to be the only 24X reluctor engine out there that has dual overhead cams with variable valve timing, because it's such a weird oddball platform. So the E67 platform, that ECM can be used with the 24X, but I can't get anybody to give me access to the parameters to test it. Not even HP tuners. I've contacted them. They say it can't be done, yet there's also stuff on the forums where Chris, their engineer, has said, yeah, it's the options are there, but nobody's played with them. And I'm saying just unlock it or send me the addresses and I will play with it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I've got the thing set up to run on an E67 right now. But I'm not going to chase it down the road too far. As I said, we're going to do an LS swap on this sooner than later. But it would be fun to get that supercharger on there and running. So on top of it, as I said, I did a video. I don't know if it's out or not yet. Probably not. Probably coming out after this one, where I talk about the different ECMs, specifically focusing on the E67 and the E38 ECMs, their compatibility, how the operating systems work on it, where literally the ECM that's in this came out of a Malibu Max, which was then programmed as an XLR-v, which has then also been programmed as a ZR1. So it's just kind of funny how the same piece of hardware can do all different platforms, but whenever you do change the software, it changes some of the pinouts. So I break that down into more in that video. So if I've already got that video out, I'll try and post a link down below or in the corner, but nonetheless, it's coming. I wanted to get a vlog out talking about where we're at right now, just because I haven't done one since before the holidays here. Been too tied up. So I am going through clearing out these 50 DTCs, and we're going to put a crank to it, see if it even cranks. It's not been wanting to crank, but at the same time, we did not have communications with the ECM. And in fact, we were losing communications on the whole network because the chain was open, and that's because of the TCM. And as I said, the weather pack connector on the TCM is a pain in the butt to pin, and there's not a lot of room in there. I've got bruises up on my arms from working up in the fender. I should have probably pulled the fender. I just don't want to. I really don't want to pull the fender. Nonetheless, on top of it, I think that's about it. I'm anxious to see if these cam sensors need to be replaced. I have a sneaking suspicion they may work.
I don't know that enough was changed on the cam sensors, other than this is a 12-volt reference ECM as opposed to a 5-volt reference. That might be the issue. That could be a pain in the butt. I cut the cam sensors a little bit too close to the connectors. As I said, the wideband O2 sensors aren't going to be an ordeal. It'll take me longer to get the car jack back up in the air and get underneath it and get those pulled, swapped over to the harnesses, and get that hooked back up than anything else. So I'm going to continue to clean out these DTCs, and then we'll give it a start. In fact, I've only got 3 left here. So I'm getting way better at changing pins on an E67 than I'd like to admit. It only took me about 30 seconds to actually change the pins. It takes me longer to unhook everything. But that being said, I just got done running the DTC check. We're down to 11. A lot of these were still communications issues. Specifically, whenever we ran the last DTC check, the CD player wasn't initialized yet. And so everything that's connected to that network complained about the CD changer not being there. Now that the CD changer's up, we're just clearing everything out. So we got a P0615, which is a starter relay circuit, but I think that it ties back to the throttle body positioning, because I looked at the TPS position and it was showing that it was sitting at 83%, which was the indication that those wires were switched. We'll dive back in if need be, but I've got 3 more here to clear, and we should be able to crank, I hope. I don't know. It's Saturday. I don't want to spend any time really messing with it today. I want to kind of take the day off because I've been busting my butt so hard. But it is not wanting to clear the ECM DTC. That's not a good indication. So it probably means that we did not find the problem. I'm going to have to go through and walk through all the steps for the 615 DTC, figure out what can cause it, where we've got something messed up. There might be something inverted. Oh, it cleared. Okay, maybe we're going to have a shot here. Who knows? Who knows? I want to pull up the engine data down here, though, whenever we do go to start it. So bear with me here. Come on. Engine controls, data display, ECM, tach data. We're looking at the throttle control, and it's at 9%. APP. Okay, it's working right now. This is going to be possibly, let's see. Nope, son of a gun. Something is wrong with the start relay. So I'm going to go pull the DTCs again, see what's going on.
So we've got this P0615 error still, and it gives us something to work with. That's the only error that's showing up right now. We will get more DTCs once the engine gets running. But being that it is literally the start relay error that is popping up, that means we just can't start it. But the reason that I do these vlogs is to show you guys this stuff happens. Like whenever you're working on advanced platforms like this and you're doing stuff out of the normal, you're going to run into these little issues. Whether it's, you know, having the wrong crank reluctor on there, electrical gremlins, just banging your head against the wall and things like that. You can't get discouraged. You got to keep on hammering away at it to figure it out. Nobody ever said that this project was going to be easy. If I wanted to do something easy, I would have done a C6 Corvette or a GTO, something that has been well established. We are biting off giant chunks of information that doesn't exist and trying to decipher it in a way that we can make this thing operational. We've hit a couple of snags in the road, but the end goal has not changed. We're still going to eventually get there. We're kind of diverting the way that we're traveling down the road to try and accomplish it, but still we're trying to have some fun and learn some stuff along the way. So that being said, let me reiterate, this VX Diag, man, I did a video on it a couple weeks ago. This thing has been the best diagnostic tool that I've probably ever bought. So make sure, I will pop a link in the corner or down below or something. You need to go check that out. It has been great. It is a Chinese Tech 2 for you know, a lack of a better term, but it's cheaper than the Chinese Tech 2s. It does everything that you could ever want to do. It's more like an MDI, I guess, technically. And for $100, I think is what they're going for. If you are doing any kind of stuff that's in depth like this on a modern platform, Gen 3, 4, 5, you got to get one because it will save you. I have used it every step along the way to help diagnose what is going on. I have some confidence in the harness that I've built out. I need to do some finishing touches on it just to clean it up and make it where it will not fall apart whenever we're going down the road. The conversion stuff I think is still good to go, but I do have pins coming in there so I can repin the E22 to E67 harness. That's just going to be a long, boring day of pulling the wire out, snipping it, crimping the new connector on, and putting it right back in the spot it came out of. Won't be difficult. We'll be losing... Well, we won't be losing a ton off of the factory harness because we'll crimp back where the E22 harness was from the beginning because I cut those really short, as we saw whenever we were trying to build this adapter harness. So basically, we'll lose probably an inch worth of total length on the factory harness, but there's enough slack on that. It's not a big ordeal. So that being said, those are kind of the next things I've got to get the thing running. So I'm going to dive into this and figure it out, and I'll update you guys whenever we get to that point. So listen, thanks as always for the support. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for sharing the content and the tuning stuff. We will get into tuning soon, back into tuning soon. I promise you, this is just process. This is what happens whenever you have a project car. So, but stick around. We're getting there. ABT, always be tuning.